Herbert's 100 harem. So what's it like, little man? Victory asks as he examines his cards. Herbert was trying to teach the Ikea men how to play poker. Victory hadn't gotten the message that your cards don't change between glances unless you actually pick up another card. I can't read mine's, Victory. I need more than that, Herbert replies. He was feeling good about his pair of black eights, but the 4 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, and jack of spades meant that it was easily anyone's game. He means, what's it like to live so far from everything? Your species went from barely space-capable to galactic in technology, but not scale. It may take a while, but the day will come where there will only ever be a few humans that remember not being part of the galaxy, David remarks as he tosses a chip into the table. Raise. Call. Herbert answers, trying to sound a little too eager. See if he can push them out. Damn it! Victory mutters, throwing down his cards. 4 of a kind on the 3s with a 10 of clubs. Mojo simply tosses in his chip to call as well. Now, whether he's calling Herbert or David is the real question. As for the question, it's still something I'm getting used to. First came the beacon, and there was about a month the world was convinced it was a weird hoax. The information was controlled, and the idiots in charge tried to quell panic before some smart soul leaked the contents of the beacon. At that point, the world went into a frenzy. The mission I'm still technically a part of is just a slapdash first contact idea designed to please voters and stop the masses from rioting on the government sitting on their hands with proof of not just aliens but straight-up contact from beyond, Herbert explains before grabbing a couple of chips. Raise. Out, David says, folding on a pair of queens, hearts and spades, a pair of black 5s, and a 2 of diamonds. Call, Moro says, tossing in his own chips before scanning Herbert again. He then smirks and tosses in 2 more. Raise. Call, Herbert says. Now he's committed. Let's see if he can buy his way out of the bluff. So, how'd your family take your joining a crazy slap-together mission into the great unknown? I bet they had a few things to say. Victory pushes and Herbert pulls out his communicator and starts fiddling with it. I thought we agreed no toys during the game, Mojo asks. I've had some contact with them after the mission. The messages home are a long time coming and take a long time to get there, but Herbert explains before laying the device on the table. It starts projecting upwards a flat screen. One he shifts so the 3 large men can see it better. It shows his family. Well, I have to say after that, enlightening message sent to us, you're certainly having something happen to you. What? I have no idea. But I suppose that's expected when you've somehow turned into a child and joined a spy agency, Charlie, his father, says. The man was always a little pudgy, so now that Herbert's gone back into baby fat, he actually resembles him a little closer. There was just something inherently innocent to the man, odd considering that he worked in children's aid, a job that had a tendency of grinding up and spitting out people involved like a meat factory. So I brushed up on all the classic spy movies, Sir Philip and the Fist of God, Sir Philip and the Doctor of Doom, Sir Philip and the Russian Reversal. I must say, you're going to be wearing a lot of fancy suits. Charlie continues with a smile. Bro, what? Victory asks, and Herbert pauses the recording. My mentor's mission files were declassified and then translated into spy fiction, mostly because even when things had been made more mundane and realistic, it was still too incredible to believe. So my dad doesn't know this, but his joke is actually completely accurate. I have been wearing a ton of fancy suits and often have insanely powerful gadgets inside them. Herbert answers with a chuckle. Got one now? David asks, and Herbert pulls out a strange, blocky-looking gun he passes to David. A gun? Bug gun. It shoots tiny listening devices at subsonic speeds and completely silently. They latch on to whatever they hit and then blend with the surrounding area. That allows me to plant listening devices at about a half-kilometer distance. Very nice. I'm surprised you're allowed to show this to us, David remarks, handing the weapon back. Herbert pockets it with a smile. It's just a more compact version of several on the market tools for nature enthusiasts. It's technically still a civilian-grade tool, just shrunken down from being the length of my arm into fitting in the palm of my hand. Herbert answers. Thought it looked familiar. I got one of those myself, Mojo says before regarding the cards. Oh, right. The game. Sorry. I raise, Herbert says and grins cheekily. Mojo gives him an odd look, then flips his cards over. 8 of spades, 9 of diamonds, 10 of hearts, jack of hearts, and queen of diamonds. Fold, Mojo says. What you got? Pair of 8s, Herbert answers, and Victory lets out a long moan of frustration. Ah, come on, we all could have smoked that hand, Victory says around a few chuckles before grabbing his drink and throwing it back. Can I see the bug gun? Mojo asks as Herbert stacks up his chips. Sure, here you are. Herbert slides it across the table and into the large man's hands. Slide the cards over, will ya? I'll deal. Are you guys sure it's a good idea to play a game of cards with a professional liar? Victory asks as Herbert shuffles. Maybe if we were playing for cash and not just chips, just good fun otherwise. Something to keep busy while we talk. David says calmly as Mojo examines the bug gun. I can't see how you kept up the accuracy or the playback features on this, Mojo says as Herbert starts dealing out the cards. Playback goes to a linked communicator. Accuracy is a result of practice. Ditching those 2 features killed most of the size and weight that standard models have. Herbert replies and Mojo nods before sliding back the tool. Are those any good for actually causing damage? Victory asks and Herbert shrugs. There was a metric ton of orders from each country involved in the project. All of them wanted preferential treatment, and there wasn't a single order on that list that wasn't countermanded by at least 3 more. We couldn't so much as scratch our butts without committing direct treason. Herbert explains and Mojo snorts. I thought that was disinformation on the stuff pulled out of the Dauntless, he asks, and Herbert shakes his head. A lot of the entertainment was pretty cleanly sorted out as such, but sometimes reality is more ridiculous than any lie you could come up with. Herbert replies and Mojo lets out a little sound of affirmation before checking his cards again. He then tosses in a chip that the table matches. Everyone's either confident in their hands or trying to psyche out the others. So that's why you declared yourself your own state. It was for more than just political expediency, David notes as Victory tosses in his own raise. Everyone matches. Herbert immediately tosses in a couple more and David folds to reveal he had a pair of 2s, a 5, an 8, and a 10. All in red, but otherwise just a pair. Victory starts muttering, so that's where it is. There's just a hair of movement around his right ear. Just a touch. Had they not happened right then, Herbert would have dismissed it. But he caught it. Yay, no matter how well or poorly things went, most of us were going to be strung out to dry at the end. Only winning move was to just keep running once we hit the finish line and take the race right out of town. Change the game and make the sprint into a marathon, Herbert explains. I'm assuming a marathon is some kind of race, Mojo states. Oh, sorry. Yes, a marathon is a very long-distance endurance race. You need to measure and pace yourself or you're just going to collapse. Herbert explains and then matches Mojo's raise. Sticking in it, Victory says before glancing at Herbert. Raise, Herbert says, and Mojo's eyes narrow. You bluffing with a weak hand again? He asks, and Herbert smiles. Wouldn't you like to know? He replies, and the big HFY Maz grins. Fair point. Fold. Mojo replies, revealing that he has 3 of a kind on 8 and is only missing the heart for a 4 of a kind. The other 2 are a pair of 2s, both black. Oh man, now it's just me and Super Spy Boy here in a game of bluffing, Victory complains, and Herbert outright cackles. You're free to fold, Victory. David mocks him as he takes a pull of his drink. A fairly modest brew for an IKEA Maz, but just flavored water to Herbert. Say that with a real drink in your mouth. Victory grumps. I have to steer the ship, David says as Mojo crunches down on a snack. No one at this table has a real drink, not even me, Herbert says with a grin. Which is true. He's just got some root beer, so he has something bubbling that won't fuck with his regrowth back into an adult. Oh, you keep your poison to yourself, spy guy, Victory snaps. I scanned that stuff. You trying to go into sugar shock? Oh, please, I'd need gallons of the stuff to get there, Herbert replies as he takes a drink. Victory has his tongue out in an expression of disgust. Grow up. No, and you can't make me. Victory counters before throwing his whole pot into the center. Screw it. 4 of a kind all 7s with an ace. What you got? 4 of a kind, queens, Herbert answers, and Victory lets his head hit the table. God damn it. Victory groans as everyone chuckles. Glasses are clinked together and David gathers up the cards to start shuffling. Can't you be nice? Even once? No. Pity is not in the job description, Herbert answers. I may have to steal that line, Mojo notes. Feel free. Herbert counters as he reaches for his communicator with intention to pocket it. So what's the rest of the message like? Personal or just kind of banal? David asks as he starts passing out cards. A bit of both. He ribs me for a minute or two on both going backwards through puberty and joining an intelligence division, then gives what's basically a report on family happenings. I'm an uncle again and not sure how to feel about that. Granted, I have no idea how they're going to respond when they get the full details that I have 100 wives and even more kids on the way. I'd pay to see his response. The fully recovered Victory notes. Ha! Anyways, after Dad gives his news and wishes me luck with all the secret silliness, his words not mine, Mom pops up and, well, it goes from funny to awkward. She seems to have the fact I'm on the other side of the galaxy hit her mid-conversation and it becomes really uncomfortable, Herbert explains as he tucks away the communicator fully. Probably best we didn't see more than a little. Something like that's a bit personal. David remarks. Not really. Without context or anything, it's just useless noise to most people. It's not like you can use this to blackmail or bribe me. Herbert remarks calmly. Oh my God, man, Victory exclaims.